Hello, I'm Jamon Jordan, official historian for the city of Detroit. And this is Black History Month. I want to welcome you to some wonderful programming called Undefeated, a look at Black history in the city of Detroit through the lens of dance, music, architecture, spoken word, and other genres. You can view some wonderful video, which will also be available on Channel 22 and at DetroitArtsandCulture.com. Please enjoy.
I am Debra White-Hunt, co-founder and artistic director of Detroit Windsor Dance Academy and Companies. I'm also a native Detroiter, and I am so excited that we are able to take this time to celebrate Black History Month and talk about dance in Detroit. So I'll be here to just share excerpts from our 1997 dance concert, which was a big year in Detroit because we celebrated 100 years of dance in Detroit. And that concert was held at our very own music hall, and it was with all of our children, hundreds and hundreds of them, learning about this history. Detroit has a rich heritage, and dance is part of that. So we'd like to thank Ace and Rochelle Riley for the opportunity to reflect upon and enjoy the chronicles of our times. Native Americans discovered Detroit, but we were officially founded in 1701 by French settlers as they sailed the Detroit River, led by Antoine Cadillac. The name Detroit, or Detroit as some even call it now, is a French name. Where the Pontchartrain Hotel once was, downtown near the river, there was a fort built, Fort Pontchartrain. Some of the first Detroiters and settlers were French people of Haitian descent. Sidebar. That means if anyone of Haitian descent, African descent, was on the boat, then you know it was music and dancing. So now, over 100 years later, dance is still a part of Detroit. It has grown and evolved in many ways. During World War II, the Taylorettes, a popular tap dance group of all Black females, played in many Black and Tan clubs. In the 30s, we had the Vanity Ballroom, Paradise Theater, Club 36 with 666, and that great dancer, Josephine Baker herself, performed at Orchestra Hall. And Duke Ellington and Count Basie's were regulars there. Can you just imagine that energy? I remember my parents telling us about it. In the 40s, we had the Flame Show Bar, and Ziggy Johnson, who will be on the picture, he had a dance school. He celebrated his birthday party there in 1952. I had just been born. Then there was Prince Hall and the mighty Greystone Ballroom, which had the title of being Detroit's best dance hall. And do you know alcohol was never served at the Greystone? We had the Gotham Hotel, the Nakarima Club, Hotel Teresa, the Horseshoe Bar, the Bluebird Inn. These were places to be. Many of these clubs were in Detroit's Black Bottom or Hastings. These were difficult times, especially around the war, and dancing at the clubs helped many people just to unwind and to get through each day. I remember growing up hearing about all these clubs. In the 50s, there was the Garfield Lounge, the Top Hat, Capri, Cozy Corner, the Elwood Lounge. In the 60s, we had the 20 Grand. I really remember the 20 Grand. It was so live in Detroit. Dance halls were everywhere. It was so much excitement. And we can't forget the Arcadia. That's where we went to ballroom and roller skate, dancing on those skates. I remember in the place that we went, which was in one of the basements of a church, we danced on those skates. The Arcadia was live. It was so live that some of our parents wouldn't allow us to go there. We weren't allowed. The Sultans. The Sultans were a great tap group that began in 1950. Mr. Lloyd Story, one of Detroit's great dance masters, was a Sultan. It was great to study tap dance with him. And then there was Charlie Atkins. He toured with another great tapper, Honey Coles. And all this was in the 50s. Atkins developed a unique dance style and stage presentation for Motown recording artists, vocal choreography. In the 60s, Charlie Atkins coached Aretha Franklin when she was a brand new artist at Columbia Records. The founders of the Chickadee Council of America had roots in Michigan, and we therefore benefited from that because many of the teachers were from the Detroit area that learned this technique. Some of the schools that were responsible for our reputation of having exceptional ballet training were the Bonsdale Playhouse, the Denny Shawn School of Dancing, LeClaire Knox School of Dance, and the Tayton School of Dance. Rob and Norma Tayton came to Detroit after being a successful ballroom couple in the 40s. They established the Tayton School of Dance located in a big house on West Grand Boulevard and Grand River. Anyone from Detroit would remember that house. It just sat there, very interesting to look at. It was a landmark at the time. Many Detroiters studied there. They had their first dance performance in the backyard of the Tayton School of Dance. Later came the O'Day School of Dance, the Laskew School of Ballet, Michigan Ballet Theater, and several others. Dance was also a very big part of the Detroit Recreation Department. LeClaire Knox, Jimmy Hunt, and Amelita Bridges had a successful program at the Considine Recreation Center. This is where many African American children learned to dance. I took my very first tap class and ballet lesson in the 60s at Crunk Recreation Center, home of the Boxers. I learned ballet with classical piano music. Then that was the only type of music used with ballet. The classes will always have their place. However, today, ballet dancing is performed to a variety of music. There was a dance school that started in the 50s. It was the Ziggy Johnson School of Dance. Everybody wanted to dance at Ziggy's school. Ziggy's was known for winning the first prize at the Jabberwock every year, a talent competition that was sponsored by Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Many dancers got their start at Ziggy's and went to dance at clubs throughout the world. The dance program in the Detroit middle and high schools began way back in 1925. At one point, dance was in over 22 high schools and several middle and elementary schools, with several programs taught by dance specialists with live accompaniment in school dance studios. Though not in every school anymore, dance is very much a part of the Detroit Public School system. Today, dance in Detroit is vital. It's in clubs, neighborhood studios, major performing venues, such as the Fox Theater, the Opera House, the Detroit Opera House, Wayne State University, the Music Hall, private studios, and universities in the area. Detroiters of all ages still love to dance. Much of the content of contemporary modern dances of the 30s and 40s dealt with contemporary social issues. The dances reflected the social fervor of the times. That truth still continues today. The 1970s and 80s brought the beginning of several dance companies: Harbinger, Detroit City Dance Company, DC, Soup's Troupe, the Metropolitan Dance Project, Detroit Windsor Dance Company, Clifford Fears, Dance Theater, Amin Ra, Rhythm, Ujima, Detroit Dance Collective, Madam Cadillac Dance Theater, to name a few. There are many dance studios in the Detroit area where people of all ages can go to learn tap, ballet, modern jazz, African, ethnic, and ballroom dance forms, as well as many, many other dance forms. Known dancers with Detroit roots include Madonna, Carl Bailey, who went on to dance at the Ailey's Company. He graduated from Cass Tech, Jimmy Hunt, Garth Fagan, Martha Graham, Debbie Hunt, myself, Penny Gabboto, Harriet Berg, Gina Ellis, Meredith Campbell, Lisa Nowak, Carol Mauricio, Derek Finney, Michael Cobb, Tony Lewis, Tony O, Rod Rogers, and the Prince of the Dance, Mr. Clifford Fears, many of whom have their wings. Henry Ford loved dance so much that he built a ballroom in his house and at his engineering building. He brought in Benjamin Lavette to be his dance master and teacher. Benjamin taught dance to children in 1944 and at Greenfield Village. Ford held dances on Friday nights for his employees and friends. It was mandatory for Ford executives to learn and know ballroom. When we found all this out and realized that they were going to be a sponsor of one of our events, we know that dance has always been important to them. A part of the Detroit culture is the diversity of groups. It's reflective of our changing population. Native Americans, Ukraine, Polish, African, Indian, Caribbean, Spanish, Irish, Mexican, Arabic. I can go on, because we have over 100 cultures in Detroit. And it seems that with all cultures, dance is a big part of it. In 1889, the Harmony Club, located in Harmony Park, was the home of a German singing and social society. In their large auditorium, which was in the process of being refurbished, the club gave lavish costume balls. Now that area, I think, has been changed to Bebuck Park. The Boblo boat, built in 1914, was literally a floating ballroom on Friday and Saturday evenings. The Boblo Pavilion, located on the island, was the second largest ballroom on the continent. It held 5,000 dancers. The pavilion closed in 1958 as times and tastes changed. UAW Women's Brigade. There was an emergency women's brigade that danced outside of the GM Fisher body plant on February 3rd in 1937. The women dancers were a part of the strike to support responding to an injunction for sit-down strikers to vacate GM's property. In the 70s and early 80s, 1980s, the Detroit Metropolitan Dance Project led the way to community awareness and involvement in dance as a 20th century art form. They sponsored and encouraged cultural and educational dance activities, functioned as a research program, and increased understanding of dance in Detroit. Bruce Hunt, Executive Director of Detroit Windsor Dance Academy, served as the president of this organization for 4 years. The Detroit Metropolitan Dance Project provided a dance newsletter and performance opportunities for many dancers. DWDA's first home at Paradigm in Harmony Park was a result of one of these concerts. Liturgical dance, which is public praise and worship, has exploded in our community since the turn of the century. Many local churches have established a liturgical dance ministry, mime ministries, flag ministries, senior ministries for all ages. Many churches are members of the National Liturgical Dance Project, and many other organizations meet for training, edification, and bonding purposes. DWDA has been honored to present dance ministry local, nationally, and globally. From Cape Town, South Africa, to the National Baptist Congress, yours truly, Debra Whitehunt, with my love and passion for pageantry, has choreographed for hundreds of dancers and have trained and presented workshops and/or birthed over 77 local ministries.
won't have to cry no more.
From the Victorian balls in the 1890s to the rebellious modern dance groups of the 1930s, to the dance boom of the 1970s and the establishment of new professional companies in the 1990s, Detroit's dance scene is alive and ever growing. The African American community plays a vast role in dance in Detroit. We were here from the